It's the Kyle Hyman Show on Redeemer Radio.
This is Kyle Hyman, and with us today to talk about her journey as an actress to now taking holy vows as a sister is Mother Dolores Hart. Thank you for being here, Mother.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
You've had a lot of success in the movies. Do you have a favorite movie of yours?
Well, I tell you, there is one that I always look back on, and the making of it and the result. It's a film called Lisa. It was with Stephen Boyd, and it was about a woman who had been in a concentration camp and had been really saved by the efforts of this particular policeman, Stephen Boyd. And I think good fortune was that I met a woman in the process who actually had been in Auschwitz from the time she was 12 to 23. We became very good friends and still are. And I think being able to understand, to see the horrors that person suffered under that visitation from Hitler.
Sure.
I did not think I would be able to make it because I was only 21, and I thought, how in the world can I understand this? But with the help of the good director and the help of God, I loved the result of the picture. I think I felt it was my favorite performance, and it's something that I remember with great gratitude to God for allowing me to have that experience of truth.
Yeah. Do you still watch movies?
Well, we do from time to time. We are contemplative, so our schedule with Divine Office actually every day, 2 in the morning, 6 for and 8 for Mass, again at noon, 5 o'clock Vespers, and 7:30 Compline, sung in Latin and chant. The time to find a movie is very special.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this lifestyle is very different than that as a Hollywood actress. How did you originally get into acting?
Oh, gosh. I had been in school because I really loved acting and got a scholarship to Marymount as an actress. And Loyola University picked me up the very first year and asked me to do play St. Joan. Well, this was visited by a talent scout from Paramount who called me in to see if I would be available for a new film they were doing with Hal Wallace. And it was Loving You with Elvis Presley. I cannot tell you how many kids were at that interview. I never thought I would be chosen.
Yeah.
And God has his ways, but that got me off to an incredibly beautiful start.
And I think I saw an interview with you. You weren't really familiar with Elvis Presley at the time?
Yes.
But everybody else did, but you were not really familiar with his music.
Oh, no, I didn't. That was very funny because when I first met the cast for the picture, I met Liz Scott and Wendell Corey, and then they introduced me to this lovely young man, and he said my name was Elvis Presley, and I said, "Oh, what do you do?"
You eventually figured it out, though.
He jumped to his feet and said, "I sing," and I couldn't believe how dumb I had been. I was not a hip musician in that time.
Well, so was Elvis as cool as his reputation?
Well, he was a very young man then. This was really his first major film, and he was extremely humble, I felt, in his attitude. And he kind of would roam around the set, and he'd play his guitar, and he'd always have a good word for you, or we chatted about the stuff that goes on in the set. But I certainly enjoyed him. One example is he came over to see me at one point on the set, and he said, "Is Miss Dolores there?" And that was amazing because I wondered what was this, and then every single time he approached me, it was always Miss Dolores. And I soon learned this was a Southern gentleman. This was his way of being courteous. I think he had a very simple and a very lovely presence. We did another film, King Creole, 2 years later, and at that point, he could talk much more freely with me. In one conversation, he was telling me how much he liked doing that film, and because it was a very dramatic film. They had music, but the drama was very evident. And he said to me, I really want to do this kind of film. I want to be the next Jimmy Dean. I would love to really have a good acting career. He said, singing is wonderful, and I love it, but I don't want to just be a songbird, I mean. And I think, unfortunately, his early death and the problems that led him to that were basically because he was used very badly to make money. Every one of his films after we left King Creole was another girly, song and dance without any depth to it. I mean, there was a couple that were certainly much better, but he never really got what he wanted.
We're talking with Mother Dolores Hart, who tells all of her story of being an actress, her journey from Hollywood to holy vows in the book The Ear of the Heart, and talking about this acting experience with Elvis Presley and being in Hollywood and all that goes with that. How did you first begin to consider religious life, which doesn't seem particularly the usual path for a successful actress in the peak of her career?
No, it didn't. No, in fact, maybe if I can make an analogy, you talked about The Ear of the Heart, which has just come out in a fabulous new paperback edition, which is done so well. It's almost as perfect as the original. Well, I was so afraid of that transition. I thought when the paperback comes out, the book is going to be finished. Well, Ignatius Press really fooled me. It was so much better. And I think that's the way we are with a lot of things. We project what we think will be either good or bad, and we find out that the Lord takes us in ways that we never expected, and the difference is always amazing if we're really in faith. And I was a woman of faith in those years. I baptized Catholic when I was 9, and always wanted to understand more of what my faith meant, because I felt as a baptized Catholic I missed a lot of education. And I think the idea of entering religious life never really took root in me, because I always wanted to be an actress. But I did have a sister, Dolores Marie, who was my great aunt, for whom I was named, who was a member of the community of St. Joseph of Carondelet. And I grew up walking with her, going to the store with her. She would want to buy beer, and she'd tell me, "You carry it so I won't look bad." So, religious life wasn't something that was an abstract, or it wasn't something in a totally other world, because my times with Sister Dolores Marie were really so much fun. And my grandfather was so angry with her talking to me about religion, and he said, "You don't get her into doing rosaries and that sort of stuff. Leave her alone." So she'd take me into the clothes closet where she had set up a little statue of Our Lady, and we'd pray the rosary there with the door closed. I thought she was just such a totally loving and fun woman that she did not present religious life to me as something to be feared. And I guess as I grew older, in the amazement of what God had given me in my career, I mean, as we projected, as I did not project, within 5 years I had done 11 films and a year on Broadway. It was just an amazing gift. And the films were with Montgomery Clift, with Anna Magnani, Anthony Quinn. there was a tremendous outpouring of the love of the films that I never had expected. And then I also was asked to be married by Don Robinson, who I said, Don, there's too much happening right now. I think we have to wait on this. But he didn't wait. He kept pressing the idea, and I think everything was moving so fast that when the time came to talk about this marriage, I said, Don, let's wait a year and let me see where things are. And in the meantime, we were on the stage every day for about 8 months, and I really felt the weariness of it. And a friend of mine suggested I come up to Regina Laudis, and I said, well, why? And she said, well, it's nuns and they're contemplative. I said, I don't want to be around nuns. I mean, I don't think that's what I need right now. And she said, they don't talk. They're contemplative. So I said, all right. So I came here, and I don't know, the minute I stepped on the ground and looked around, something in my heart just sang, and I said, this is really where I belong. And I talked to the abbess and asked Mother Benedict what she thought. And she said, you go back and do your movie thing. You're too young for this. You're doing too well. Don't ruin it. So I was so relieved, happy. And I came back, and it was probably a good year of, again, being in the play and going back to L.A., and my agent had told me that they were think about a film with Warren Beatty and Marlon Brando. So I went home and I got an airplane flight out to Connecticut. And that time I did speak again with Mother Benedict, and I said, I don't know why this is just constantly somewhere in my unconscious, I think, because it comes out in ways I don't understand. And she said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, I want an Oscar. And she said, I don't think this is going to help. And she said, but what do you really want? Well, we talked for a good hour, and I left her, and I thought very long and hard, and something inside just said, Mother Placid, I know I have to come here. Just tell me how I have to go about it. Well, she told me that I had to tell no one my idea, that in 6 months I could enter the Abbey after I had gotten rid of my personal belongings. And she said, and the last thing I have to tell you, you cannot talk about this, please. I said, Mother, this is going to be purgatory. And she said, yep, sure is. Well, I thought to myself, if I ever go to purgatory and I have to do that all over again, I'm not sure I'll make it. Because it was awful. And as I went back, and as I said, my agent said the next movie was going to be Brando or Warren Beatty or however, and I didn't change my mind. And that was 60 years ago.
Wow. Well, to hear the whole story, you'll have to read the book, The Ear of the Heart, An Actress's Journey from Hollywood to Holy Vows. Mother Dolores Hart, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you sharing your story, and people can get the book from Ignatius.com. It's on Amazon. Check your local Catholic bookstore as well. But thank you again, Mother Hart, for joining us today. I appreciate it.
It was wonderful to be with you, and thank you for your great ear. You're amazing.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.